Yo, what up, Fritzster? It's Lenster. Guys, we gotta talk about this one too, man. Devs working on PlayStation Live Service games didn't even know their games were getting cancelled. And can I also say, man, yo, I am loving this channel. I love just talking about video games, what's going on in the community, what's happening. I'm loving it. So without further ado, let's dive right in. It was revealed last week that the PlayStation has cancelled 2 of its upcoming live service projects. A God of War title being developed by Bluepoint, and an unannounced title from Bend Studios. You know, the guys who made Days Gone. More details about the project and their cancellations continue to emerge, including the reveal that those working on the projects found out their work was being scrapped at the same time as everyone else. Meaning, like, they found out from a Bloomberg report. Huh? Now, I gotta say, like, PlayStation, when it comes to them and live service games, they haven't had the best of luck. Like, we all know the fiasco of Concord, like the largest elephant in the room of the situation. Concord's cancellation was insane. Like, less than 1,000 people played it. It costed them more than $250,000 to make. It was 450 mil around there. 8 years in development. It was a wild time. Wild time for the studio. We also remember there was the whole situation they had with Helldivers 2 from Arrowhead Studios. Game came out, did amazing, people loved it. Then PlayStation just like slid in and said, hey guys, we need to make sure that you have to have a PSN account to play it. So that meant if you actually, here's the crazy thing about it. If you don't own a PS5, or you don't live in a country that has PSN, PlayStation Network, you literally basically got bricked out of your own game that you bought on Steam. It was a weird time, real weird time. So, let's not forget Foam Stars. Let's not forget, like, PlayStation just has a weird situation when it comes to live service games. We get it. They see that Fortnite money. They see that PUBG money. They see that Counter-Strike cash. They want to jump in on it. Like, they want their own service for themselves. Granted, they do house all these games. You can play Apex, you can play Valorant, you can play Fortnite, you can play all those on your PS5, but Sony wants one that's theirs and theirs alone, so majority of that pot goes right to them. Valid. But the crazy thing is Sony's in a weird situation right now. Like, they're not too sure which live service games will do good, which ones will just like fall flat on its face and die. You saw the situation how there was supposed to be a game called Hyenas made by Sega. Sega canceled it outright. Right now there's that other live service game called Fair Games that are currently up in the air. We're not too sure. But the thing is, Sony still wants to continue with live service games, even though they're canceling them left and right. Actually, there were a couple of live service games that PlayStation actually just flat out canceled. Like mentioned, the Bend Studio title's been canceled. The Last of Us Factions game that they want to make a live service Last of Us game canceled. The God of War live service game canceled. London Studios live service game canceled. I also believe that studio got shut down. I'm not 100% sure. Spider-Man The Great Web, which would have been amazing, canceled. Twisted Metal live service game canceled. And of course, you know, the biggest flop in history, Concord. So there has been a couple of titles that Sony did try to initially create on their own, and they just went like radio silent. Some titles that they did launch haven't lived, like, you know, Gran Turismo 7 live service. It is a live service with online and all that jazz, and it's like directly from the PlayStation Studios. Like, it launched and it's thriving. Helldivers launched, it survived. All you just gotta do is keep updating it. The revenue's there. It is what it is. But they want to jump into this market so bad because you keep seeing them trying to enter into it in multiple different ways, and they're trying to even explore using their big IPs that have already been proven to be successful to jump into this market. But you gotta just ask yourself, like, man, Sony, their rep when it comes to it hasn't been the best, but they're still very gung-ho about it. But honestly, I just wish Sony would listen to their audience more, like their consumer base more, because that Twisted Metal game could have done really, really well if you just imagine, like, you mix in elements of a Burnout, you mix in elements of Rocket League, and you mix in elements of like a massive shooter with cars. It could have done pretty good, in my opinion. I feel like Twisted Metal could have emerged from that, and that would have been the research that game needed, and it would have done fantastic in this market, in my opinion. I feel people would have also loved a live service Killzone, because for whatever reason, Guerrilla has this kind of, like, you know, left Killzone in limbo, and fans of that franchise still love it. They think it's an amazing experience. I remember playing Killzone 2 back on the PlayStation 3, loved it. Killzone 3 on the PlayStation 3 as well, amazing game. 4, which I get, like, that's when things were, like, already shifting to Horizon, but I digress. I feel like that game would do amazing as well. these are titles that Sony could still explore. PlayStation All-Stars, like similar to like the PlayStation Smash Bros. Type of title, you guys can bring that back. If you're so desperate to want to use these IPs, bring back the PlayStation fighting game. Like, that was actually really awesome. PlayStation All-Stars was amazing. You bring that back with a new modern roster, and you make the game fun and exciting, and you take the elements of what made Smash Bros. Successful, and you apply it to that, bro, you are taking off. That would have done fantastic. There was also people actually saying, man, Concord would have actually been fun if I could play as Sony characters instead of like these random like horrible character designs that Sony initiated and spent hundreds of millions of dollars on that no one ultimately played and lasted less than 2 weeks. But yeah, that's my stance on it. But scrolling further down this article, it actually says, as for the future of Bend and Bluepoint and what they might be working on next, a spokesperson for Sony has claimed this doesn't mean that it will be shutting down. It's been noted that live service games getting cancelled is largely at fault of Concord's failure. However, Firewalk Studios, the studio behind the short-lived service title, was shut down shortly after the game was pulled from sales and its servers shuttered. So basically, a lot of these titles are dying because Concord was such a massive flop that Sony cannot risk taking another L that bad. Like, you can not even saying that it would be as bad as Concord, because Concord was like, it was biblical, it was insane, but Sony can't even risk a fraction of that at this point. He's like, I gotta play my cards close to my chest. I gotta make sure that the next couple of titles I launch are bangers. So I get where Sony's coming from in that regard, but the fact that everyone found out at the same time, and it wasn't even Sony who told them, they found out from a financial report from Bloomberg, is insane. It's like you couldn't even tell me. You could, like, I came into work and I'm working on this game, and then I found out from a report that another employee said, "Hey, did you check this out?" That's basically how these guys kind of found out. But yeah, I digress. I guess Concord really did a heavy number on Sony, which it did, man. Like 400 mil, 450 mil. That's a lot of money. 8 years of development cycle. That's a lot of time to invest into a project that ultimately failed. It's a crazy loss, and Sony can't afford to take another hit like that. Even at half of it or a quarter of it, I don't think Sony could afford to take another hit like that. But lastly, it says, even though Concord is almost certainly the driving force behind PlayStation rethinking its live service title, it's 100% is. The key difference here is these games have been cancelled long before they even had a chance to fail. A fraction of the money lost on Concord will have been spent so far on Bend and Bluepoint's projects, and hopefully the teams at both studios will be able to move on to new projects, whether they be ideas from PlayStation or pictures from the studios themselves. But yeah, I 100% agree. So like I said earlier, Sony's not taking any more risks. Like, that was it. They said, okay, I'm awake at the wheel now. No more risk. Anything else is gonna be straight fire. I do not care. But that's my opinion on this, man. Let me know what you guys think. Like, do you think Sony's making the right choice here by scrapping these live service games? Do you feel Sony should just stick to more first-person story-driven games because that's like their strong suit? Or do you think, screw it, man, just like take a chance and see what happens? You might just be the next Fortnite. I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts on it, man, because this is crazy. Like I said, guys, like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. I would greatly appreciate it. I am loving this second channel, man. I really do. I think it's my favorite channel right now, to be honest with you. And I will talk to you guys in the next one. Alright, see ya.